Ah, tutti italiani? Devo farlo in italiano? Non vogliamo farlo in inglese?
No, ma
ok.
sarà filmato.
Ah, ok, quindi in inglese. Ok, let's start. Thanks. Okay, hello, good afternoon to all of you. During this talk, we will speak about the IoT security and privacy. The name of this talk is Your Camera Attacked the USA, and yeah, because it's also our fault, yeah, not the one of your neighbor, but also our own faults. First slide is about me. So why I'm here? Because I care about security. I work in a cybersecurity company. Our mission is to protect computers, the internet environment, and my background is in the pen testing area. So I was an attacker. I was paid in order to compromise systems. Mainly financial related systems, usually because when there are money, attackers want to enter in the systems in which there are money, and so they engage us to do this kind of tests. I have a lot of experience also in managing incidents, because our customers have got compromised sometimes, and we need to investigate how the attacker has performed the attack, what are the containment actions that we can do. And nowadays, the internet surface is really increasing. There are not only client and servers that are phones, but there are also internet connected devices, so IoT devices. And the agenda for today is to see what are the devices that are part of the Internet of Things. Let's talk about what kind of data are handled or are, however, managed by this kind of devices. And then we will see how these devices can be abused by attackers in order to or grab your data, but also to conduct attacks. And I will tell you also a brief story about the Mirai botnet. Mirai botnet is it's a botnet used in order to attack many servers, many companies in America. And this botnet was built using compromised IoT devices. So. As first, what is an IoT device? An IoT device is maybe a car, maybe a smartwatch. It's something connected to the internet. Nowadays, it's so common to have as a replace of a standard device, the same device but with an internet connection. There are a lot of ideas about moving from publishing information of a device into the internet. The main idea is to be able to manage devices that many years ago could not be managed in other ways. And so we have, nowadays we have smartwatches, we have fridge, oven connected to the internet, but we have also thermostat, fitness trackers, and so on. But we have also, for example, a thing that I like to say, it's not all the IoT devices are critical in the same way. So, for example, IoT devices related to health monitor are probably very risky, so we need to really care about what we do with this kind of devices. The device we usually refer to when we speak about IoT, for example, the smartwatch, but also thermostat or gas leaker devices, or our cars. For example, with Mercedes, you can close the doors of your car from the internet, or you can also track your animals. You want to track where your cat is or your dog is when you are not at home, or you lost your cat and you want to see where it is. But also there is a huge part that it's also a bit funny about sexually related devices that are internet connected. And I think this is one of the parts that scared me the most, because the data, the type of data handled by this kind of device, it's really critical. So for example, you can buy a special ring in order to track how was your sexual activity. Maybe you can do better the next time, for example, something like this. Yeah, it's a bit scary, but I suppose that there are people who are going to buy this kind of devices. Yeah. Why not? Yeah. Yeah. How much time? Or maybe you can compete with your friends. Yeah.
There's a social integration.
No idea. Honestly, I have not checked, but okay. And so Internet of Things devices, however, are covering a very broad area. So for example, the media. Why media? Because with an Internet of Things device, you can track people and geolocate exactly where they are. In this manner, you can do, for example, what is called proximity marketing. So you can send an advertisement to people who are in front of the door of a special store. So maybe I'm just walking this way, I'm going in this way, and there is a pizza restaurant, and my smartwatch will send to me a note. Okay, here there is a promo, the pizza here, it's really, really good. This is a kind of proximity marketing that leverage your the fact that you share the position where you are. But there are also environmental monitoring, maybe in order to see if water or air is polluted. For example, John Deere in America is also helping farmers in order to track the quality of the water, the sun, in order to have in order to manage the agriculture in a very precise manner. Another part of the Internet of Things is all of the devices related to the infrastructure, so maybe monitoring things, monitoring a bridge for earthquake, or monitoring streets in order to check if there is traffic, that also it's under the category transportation. But for example, there are many consumer applications, for example, are related to the energy management. For example, Nest, it's a US company, and they sell thermostat in order that you can manage the temperature of your room even when you are not at home, and you can track your how much energy have you used, and you can so manage better what are your expenses, for example. As I told you before, there is a lot of interest in the medical, in the healthcare area for internet-connected devices, mainly for sick people who need to continuously monitor their illness. Let's check what kind of the data that these kind of devices are able to grab, or however, let me say, to collect. Usually they ask you to share the location, but also they are able to see what are your habits, just because, for example, you are used to go in the same place, or you usually go outside, you go to your work usually at 8 in the morning. These are behavior that it's tracked by IoT devices. And also, if you think about, for example, smart TV. Smart TV are able to track you when you watch maybe a movie in order to share this kind of data with companies able to monitor the audience, for example. And by saving this kind of information, a company may be also able to find if you have a political preference. For example, you are watching this movie, you are watching this political discussion, so maybe you are interested in this party. And also, for example, when you go out and both you and your friend have the same, maybe a smartwatch with the same application, such information is shared, and the company who owns the application might track you. So they might know, for example, that you are used to go out with this person, and you and your friends were in that place at that time, and you are used to do this kind of things. It's quite impressive. It's quite impressive what companies can do leveraging the data collected by IoT devices. For example, the fitness trackers. Such as here I have a fantastic, but it's mainly the same with other kind of fitness trackers. Yeah, it seems an information, a silly information, something not really very interesting, but if you think that you start your tracker when you are exactly out of your home and you start the tracker in order to do your run, if you are able to check where is the place of the start, you are able to find where a person lives. So in this manner, for example, I was able to find a person, an unknown person. I was able to just check the streets he used to use for his running competition, let me say, and just by watching the start and destination points, you are able to see, you are able to detect which is his house. Yeah, it's quite scary. And okay, you may say to me, okay, but I'm used to disable the geolocation in all of my devices. Yeah, but yeah, I can do the same even reading your accelerometer. The accelerometer is that component in your phone that that enable you to play with the games with the ball, where you move the phone on the right, on the left, and you have the balls moving in different parts of the screen. Yeah, that is the accelerometer. There is a research conducted by a Chinese university, if I remember well, and they have monitored what are the movement of the accelerometer during a metro ride. So you take the underground, you take the subway with your phone. They are able to detect the impact of each stop, and are very particular type of brake, and so you can, even by reading the accelerometer data, they are able to tell you if you are going out in Stazione Duomo in Milano, or you are going out in Porta Venezia in Milano, because the power of the brake is different, and your phone has monitored, has the whole story of your data related to the accelerometer. But yeah, so you can disable the accelerometer, but I can do this also in another way. Using the Bluetooth. Bluetooth, for example, here there is in the slide, there is the Charge HR. Charge HR, it's something like the Runtastic, it's a fitness tracker. Each tracker has a unique address, unique MAC address. Here in the slide, it's this one, for example, starting with ED. The idea is to put inside a city, maybe in a park, a huge number of Bluetooth sensors. In this manner, I can interact with all the people coming or running through the park with a smartwatch, for example, and I can detect where they are. You can just think about having a lot of Bluetooth devices around the city, and you can track each person in the whole city. So, for example, I can just enable my Bluetooth, just check what are the devices near to the people, near to the person I want to track. So I will enable my Bluetooth. I will check that, for example, Claudio has a smartwatch, and I'm able to detect the MAC address of the Bluetooth device of Claudio. And then I can just put in the city a lot of Bluetooth sensors in order to track when Claudio is near to one of my sensors, and I can just have the whole history of where Claudio was during the time. So as I was telling to you before, there is a lot of mania about IoT, and many companies are trying to moving their old device in an Internet of Things device. So the time to market, it's really important. So many companies have traditional devices, and they want to transform their old-style device, let me say, in the same device, but with internet capability, because maybe people love to work with, love to manage their devices with the phone. So the time to market is really important, and another constraint is that all this kind of devices have to be really simple. So in order to have a simple device, they usually try to do a very pretty interface with a very low number of options, with a very, very basic settings, because, for example, when you buy something here in Italy, but also in America, you have the right to return the product even if it's working, but maybe just because you are not able to use it. So this is pushing companies in making devices, in building a device with very basic configuration, very basic security configuration, just because many people are not able to set properly all the function, or to do a proper configuration, a proper secure configuration. So usually when you buy something in the supermarket, an IoT device at the supermarket, you can just take it, bring it at home, you connect it to the internet, and it's working. Yeah, it's working, but with the default settings. And usually the default settings are not the good settings for privacy and security. And the other idea of software maker is, okay, we have now a device internet connected, let's try to collect as much data as we can, and then we may think later about what we can provide as additional service to our customers. And in this manner, they are really collecting a lot of data that they are not even using, really. But yeah, as Linux Torvald on time said, talk is cheap, show me the code. Now it's talk is cheap, show me what you mean. There are here many examples about IoT devices that had some kind of privacy or security issue. For example, this Vizio Smart TV used to track the movies people watched, but also TV show and so on. And Vizio now has to pay a fine because Vizio has sold to other companies the data about which movies or which programs on TV have been seen by the users using this kind of smart TV. And for example, by selling this kind of stuff, they are able also to see, a company might be able to see if you are a Republican or not, for example. It seems not that much critical, but the kind of data involved are really, really sensitive. Also, it's quite new. Nowadays, I have only heard a couple of companies here in Italy thinking about this kind of devices. This kind of devices are audio collector. You can place an audio collector where you want, usually in the office, in order to track if there is something strange or if there is any incident. They are just in listening mode, and they look for strange sound, for example, someone shooting, or there is someone, or there is, however, an incident ongoing. This kind of audio devices can also be put in the streets in order to monitor if there is something that requires the police attention, for example. And also there are toys for children that have internet connected capabilities. For example, this doll was able to listen, was in an active mode, was able to listen almost everything that people said in the house. And for example, in Germany, this doll has been banned because it was considered too much risky. Other IoT devices that have had some issues. For example, the smart locker for the door of Samsung has had a security issue, and also there is a research that has proven by watching the move, how do you move your hands when you are at the automated teller, they are able to understand which is your PIN code. Yeah, it's really scary. So imagine to have a virus on your smartwatch, all your data and also all your sensitive information, such as the PIN, may be monitored and sent to the attacker. This image, it's quite funny because a security researcher has scanned all the IPs in the internet in order to find the printers. He has found a lot of printers and has sent a funny message. So I was able to hack your printer from internet. You should consider to close this port. And there is also a couple of suggestions about how to fix it, and this has been done not many months ago, honestly, I think 2 or 3 months ago, and there were people posting information about their own printer printing this kind of papers, but also printers from the printers used for credit card transactions, so POS system printing this kind of figure, this kind of robots, because even POS system used for credit card transaction are internet exposed. Here some other example, about how an internet connected device might be used by the information collected by an Internet of Things device might be used against you. So in this example, the police has asked to a company to send the data about the location of a specific car, and so you have to really think about if you want to enable to have this kind of smart device even on your car. Maybe they are cool if your car is lost, but they might also track you even if it's even against you. And also, as I told you before, developing this kind of internet-connected device, it's quite it's quite new, and so also developers are not so skilled about caring about privacy and security. So, for example, many apps related to unlock or start the engine of the car are not privacy aware. So username and password are sent, for example, in clear text. Maybe I can stay near to a person who is trying to open his car with his smartwatch or his phone app, and I'm able to dump his credentials, so name and password, that then I can reuse in order to open his car. Or here, another very, very strange but very related to sensitive devices. Hackers have been able to also to hack sex toys, and this it's really bad because are very, very sensitive data. One of the things that when we usually talk about Internet of Things device, people usually think about cameras, because they probably were the first internet connected device. And there are also internet connected cameras without protection, so they can be easily accessed from the internet from anyone. So here, for example, there is a baby sleeping in Canada. This was a kitchen, if I remember well, was in Spain. Or here there is a person in the bathroom. So if you have this kind of device, I really recommend to you to change the default settings. However, people working in the security are really working a lot about making the internet safer and making this kind of device safer. There are a lot of vulnerability. Visits are rank coming from OWASP. OWASP is in an international how we can say organization. It's an organization done by security researcher, who are trying to give to the community best practices about how to handle security, how to develop in a secure way. As you can see, the issue number one is the insecurity of web interface and the insecurity of the authorization mechanisms. So, for example, if I'm able to see the camera of someone else, that it's an issue related to the authentication, to the authorization. Then there is, for example, I might be able to intercept credential because the communication between maybe my phone and my smart device is done over any secure network. These are probably the top three, the most common issues that I have found on while studying internet-connected IoT devices. Yeah, imagine now if I will start not just to looking about cameras, but I really want to do something really bad. Instead of hacking computers, who nowadays computers are really secure, also because people are caring about their laptop security. They are changing the password of their systems. They are applying patches. So the computers are quite strong. The computer security is quite strong nowadays. This is not true for Internet of Things device. And attackers are looking into this area, and their idea is to create a botnet, so a group of computer systems under their control to do malicious activities, for example, to hack someone. And this is something that happened in the past, and and it has been done with also with Internet of Things devices. And by the way, I just said army, so I want just to tell to you that, for example, the Chinese army is not allowed to wear IoT devices because they are also scared about the kind of data that can be leaked by this kind of by having something communicating with the internet. Yeah. But also there are, it's not really related to Internet of Things devices, but many ISIS people have been catch because they used to post on Twitter the images of themselves using with the geotag. So yeah. So let's talk about the Mirai botnet. The Mirai botnet is the most famous botnet created with IoT compromised devices. This botnet was done in this manner. There was a malware watching on all the internet IPs, and the scope of this malware was to find devices with a very weak configuration, maybe devices without password, maybe device vulnerable, and devices who are internet exposed, and they can be used to do what's it's called a botnet. The idea behind this is that it's it's much more simpler to hack a IoT device nowadays because as I told you before, IoT devices are not managed in the same way as computers, so it's quite difficult to update an IoT device. It's quite difficult for users to manage the configuration of this kind of things. So it's easier for the attacker to find a vulnerability and to take the control of this kind of things. In the past, this has been used to create a huge group of machines able to do what the attacker wants to do. In particular, the Mirai botnet has been used to do this. All the devices were asked to send an internet flow to the same address, and in this occasion, the target was Dyn. Dyn was is an internet service provider providing a DNS service to many companies in the USA. So, for example, are relying on Dyn, Tumblr, Amazon, Spotify, Netflix. The Dyn server, the Dyn systems affected were the DNS systems. The DNS system is the system that allows you to translate google.com in, okay, your browser now has to go there. And as you may imagine, by sending a lot of internet traffic to the DNS server, can't reply to all the people, and so all the websites were not reachable for many hours. And in the image there is the graphical representation with a heat map of the impact on the USA side. And it was really, really huge. Many people were not even able to search for things, because however the amount of traffic was so big that even finding critical information on the internet was really, really hard. But how the attacker were able to find all of these devices? They were able to find all these IoT devices by doing a special kind of queries on the internet with ad hoc scans, but also using the Shodan website. The Shodan website, it's something like Google, but it's Google for IoT device. You can search, instead of searching for a website, you can search for something. For example, here I have a search for you personal are the wireless lamp from Philips, and this engine it's able to show to you all the people who have published their liked, the internet connected light. Or for example, you can do other searches. In this case, I have searched for diesel, so I was able to find gasoline pump exposed over the internet. And if you search so if you search deeper, you are also able to find a really critical system. So for example, this kind of pumps, power generators, and so on. And sometimes you can also modify the settings, which is really, really scaring. So how all these devices have been compromised during the Mirai attack? They have been compromised mainly leveraging default passwords. This is the list of the default passwords. So as we were discussing prior, makers of internet connected device, internet of things device really want to do to the users a very good experience, and they avoid to do complicated interface. They prefer to do things in a very, very easy manner. This means usually running application with a high level of privileges, so running as administrator or as root with a very, very simple password, so people can just remember my password is password, or my password was 12345, and yeah, also you. Okay, no. Okay. Okay. Yeah, the last one, it's quite funny. No, the default password is the default password. Yeah, the manufacturer, yeah. No, yeah, the manufacturer, yeah, the maker. Yeah. No, thanks. And another way to find the vulnerable devices is just to check for devices who are known to have a security issue. So, for example, I can use the Shodan engine that I have showed to you before in order to search vulnerable devices. I can just wait in order to have the news about the new release of a vulnerability, and I can just use Shodan in order to search all the devices affected with that vulnerability. In this manner, I'm able to check how many devices I can compromise, but also I can check where are such devices. So, for example, in this slide, this was an internet-connected device very, very present in Italy and in Germany. And so I can just decide I want to bring down this kind of systems in Italy. Yeah, I can. I can also do this kind of things. For example, this specific device was an access point. So by leveraging this vulnerability, an attacker would have been able to shut down internet in a lot of houses. Yeah. So, what are the mitigation here? Yeah, not that much, honestly, but we are quite lucky because the next year the GDPR law will start in asking companies to notify users about breaches, so about the data they collect about their customers. So, for example, when a company got breached and your data are on the internet, are leaked online, they have now to do a statement. They now need to involve the proper people and to send a notification to you, telling to you, okay, your data have been compromised, we are handling this in this manner, and the companies who got breached, they have 72 hours in order to notify to the government or the authorities that they have been breached, and they need to say how big was the breach, what was the data involved, and this I think it's something that really can increase the overall security of all the systems, but especially for IoT devices. There are also administrative fines that are quite huge, so I think this is it's a very good reason in order to start to apply security and privacy techniques also on this kind of devices. I would like to finish this talk giving to you a random list of tasks you can do in order to increase your awareness, but also in order to protect yourself when you use an IoT device. So I really recommend to you to put a sticker on your camera, maybe also on your smart TV, to change the default password of your router, to change the default password of your fit trackers. If you are going to buy something that is internet connected, usually they will create for you a public profile. So, for example, fitness tracker usually create for you in an automatic manner a public profile that you maybe want to avoid this. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. And yeah, for the moment, it's not so easy to do the update of this kind of system, just because you have maybe to put it, to link it with your computer, to download the update upgrade, and to push the update or the upgrade on your smart device. So maybe it's not something you can really do always, but it's something I really recommend to you to do at least a couple of times a year if it's possible. And then if you are just at the supermarket and there are two items doing the same thing. Please take the time to see what are the specifications, what are the data that are shared, and choose the device that allows to you to select what are the options for the sharing and to and let's check if they have a security feature. It's something you really should care about. And yeah, also stay updated with IoT privacy and security topics, because I think this will be a huge issue in the upcoming years. Yeah. Questions? Okay. If you want this deck, just send. Okay. Sure.
I asked about camera devices.
Yeah.
Camera devices on internet. We sell on internet. We can be sure that nothing.
Yeah.
Because most of all now it's cloud services.
Yeah.
So we cannot trace
really
exactly where our cloud.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you recommend?
Yeah. No, it's really hard for people to select between devices. Usually the recommendation is if you are at the shop, try to choose something new, because all their devices have not the same privacy or security capabilities, because, however, now there is this kind of concerns, and so new devices are built with this kind of requirement. There is not an easy way, honestly, in order to test if your installation it's good or not. What you can really do is to check if in the guide of your product there is the hardening part, that usually it's a list of things you have to do in order to harden your installation. So there are usually inside that part of the manual there is something like change the password or enable HTTP over SSL transmission. This means that your flow will be encrypted. Yeah, I know that it's not something all the people can do. Yeah. Yeah, the other thing that honestly I can tell is that if you trust very big brands, they usually care about security, because there is a brand behind the no, the manufacturer maybe is not the same, but for example, many cheap devices coming from China for sure have not the same quality assurance process of a multinational company. So yeah, I know it's quite hard, but honestly, if it's not possible to test the device or to Google it in order to search if someone else has had in the past security issue with such device, I probably would recommend to go with a big brand just to be sure.
It's possible to use Shodan for testing.
Yeah. You need to know what is your IP address, your public IP address, but yeah, you can try. But however, if you have an internet connected device and you are able to manage your internet connected device from here with your phone without putting a password, okay. Also the attackers can do the same. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you to you all. Ciao, ma come stai? Cosa che ti volevo scrivere prima? Chissà se
stamattina abbiamo aperto una serie di treni, abbiamo preso uno comodo.
Ma che treno? Sta per Milano? Ah, no. Ma lascia stare, il mio da Milano era in ritardo, poi ho perso quasi la coincidenza, il bagno di sangue. Ok, grazie mille, gentilissimo. Non bevi l'acqua di la bevi, non bevi l'acqua di la bevi. Lorenzo, come ti chiamato prima? Lorenzo?
5.
Okay, and so Internet of Things devices, however, are covering a very broad areas. So, for example, the media. Why media? Because with an Internet of Things device, you can track people and geolocate exactly where they are. In this manner, you can do, for example, what is called proximity marketing. So you can send an advertiser, an advertisement to people who are in front of the door of a special store. So maybe I'm just walking this way, I'm going in this way, and there is a pizza restaurant, and my smartwatch will send to me a note, okay, here there is a promo, the pizza here, it's really, really good. This is a kind of proximity marketing that leverage your, the fact that you share the position where you are. But there are also environmental monitoring, maybe in order to see if water or air is polluted. For example, John Deere in America is also helping farmers in order to track the quality of the water, the sun, in order to have in order to manage the agriculture in a very precise manner. Another device is maybe a car, maybe a smartwatch. It's something connected to the internet. Nowadays, it's so common to have as a replace of a standard device, the same device but with an internet connection. There are a lot of ideas about moving from publishing information of a device into the internet. The main idea is to be able to manage devices that many years ago could not be managed in other ways. And so we have, nowadays we have smartwatches, we have fridge, oven connected to the internet, but we have also thermostat, fitness trackers, and so on. But we have also, for example, I think that I like to say it's not all the IoT devices are critical in the same way. So, for example, IoT devices related to health monitor are probably very risky. So we need to really care about what we do with this kind of devices. The device we usually refer to when we speak about IoT, for example, the smartwatch, but also thermostat or gas leaker devices, or our cars. For example, with Mercedes, you can close the doors of your car from the internet, or you can also track your animals. You want to track where your cat is or your dog is when you are not at home, or you lost your cat and you want to see where it is. But also there is a huge part that it's also a bit funny about sexually related devices that are internet connected. And I think this is one of the parts that scared me the most, because the data, the type of data handled by this kind of device, it's really critical. So for example, you can buy a special ring in order to track how was your sexual activity. Maybe you can do better the next time, for example, something like this. Yeah, it's a bit scary, but I suppose that there are people who are going to buy this kind of devices. Yeah. Why not? Yeah. Yeah. How much time? Or maybe you can compete with your friends, yeah? No idea. Honestly, I have not checked, but... Ah, tutti italiani? Devo farlo in italiano? Non vogliamo farlo in inglese? No, ma sarà filmato. Ah, ok, quindi in inglese. Ok, let's start. Thanks. Okay, hello, good afternoon to all of you. During this talk, we will speak about the IoT security and privacy. The name of this talk is Your Camera Attacked the USA, and yeah, because it's also our fault, yeah, not the one of your neighbor, but also our own faults. First slide is about me. So why I'm here? Because I care about security. I work in a cybersecurity company. Our mission is to protect computers, the internet environment, and my background is in the pen testing area. So I was an attacker. I was paid in order to compromise systems. Mainly financial related systems, usually because when there are money, attackers want to enter in the systems in which there are money, and so they engage us to do this kind of tests. I have a lot of experience also in managing incidents, because our customer, however, got compromised sometimes, and we need to investigate how the attacker has performed the attack, what are the containment actions that we can do. And nowadays, the internet surface is really increasing. There are not only client and servers that are phones, but there are also internet-connected devices, so IoT devices. And the agenda for today is to see what are the devices that are part of the Internet of Things. Let's talk about what kind of data are handled or are, however, managed by this kind of devices. And then we will see how these devices can be abused by attackers in order to or grab your data, but also to conduct attacks. And I will tell you also a brief story about the Mirai botnet. Mirai botnet is it's a botnet used in order to attack many servers, many companies in America. And this botnet was built using compromised IoT devices. So, as first, what is an IoT device?